Massive breaking news for the Moon Boys that further pushes Bitcoin into being an institutionally recognized treasury asset, as Bitcoin's first spot ETFs are on the cusp of approval as well, igniting baby bullkind in a way so big, so absolutely ginormous that even the most bearish of perma-bear boys will be begging their mommies to increase their allowance so that they can buy Bitcoin. And even more bigger, extremely giga big news is telling us one thing and one thing only. The bust is coming, but the bust will not be large. The bust will be mega, giga, extremely, ginormously extra large. Earlier today, we've received some massive news that further convinces baby bullkind that the bust is coming and it will be bigger than anything we've ever seen before. This is absolutely ginormous, and I want to immediately jump into some breaking news before we even take a little itsy bitsy peek at the actual Bitcoin charts, which upon hearing this news did receive a tiny baby bust. So if you love gains and if you love pumpers and busting makes you feel good, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's dump in to some absolutely life-changing data. The first being this: Bitcoin getting another green light on the way to becoming an institutionally recognized treasury asset with the FASB accounting rules. Next up, clearly, obviously, the next step that is most likely than a month away, the Bitcoin spot ETF approvals. We dive a little deeper here is that Bitcoin is to be recorded at fair value under the new FASB rules issued today per Bloomberg. Why this is big is that previously companies could only value their Bitcoin at the lowest price since they bought it, which meant they would have to record losses but not the gains, which is absolutely bananas, bonkers, complete baby mode in my opinion, makes no sense, when the price recovered. Bitcoin, however, now doesn't have to deal with that absolute big baloney. Bitcoin keeps winning and the Moon Boys keep busting. And something even bigger that I want to tie into this, it's actually about JP Morgan, but Goldman Sachs saying that there's huge appetite for Bitcoin as the crypto US ETF approval looms and expects a significant uptick in trading volumes over the next 12 months. Guys, this to me, disregard this, but I want to say it is so obvious that we're about to see trading volumes over the next 12 months as the Bitcoin halving comes, especially if we get these Bitcoin spot ETFs at the very beginning of 2024. The trading volumes, the interest in Bitcoin are going to reach levels not seen literally since the cavemen, okay? This is going to be bigger than the biggest thing you could ever think of. And then if you take that biggest thing you could ever think of and then you double that biggest thing you could ever think of, it still will be even bigger than that. That's how big this is. Okay. And honestly, it's even bigger than that, which just completely blows my mind. But this is even more interesting to me. Absolute scumbag Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan, obviously last week getting on TV and saying, you know, if he was the government, he would ban Bitcoin, all that. He says that, right? But what are they actually doing? So JP Morgan, his bank, has tripled its internal crypto team, all while its CEO, Jamie Dimon, absolute big butthead, bashes Bitcoin on TV, stating that he would ban it, right? Saying if he ran the government, he would ban it, which doesn't even make any sense. What does that mean? Absolute literal turkey gobble. He's just yapping. He's just saying nothing. He's just saying words. But anyway, Jason A. Williams points out that this is the exact move that JP Morgan did. It's the exact move JP Morgan used with the gold spot ETFs to short the market. So it's exactly their playbook, right? He gets on TV and says he's trying to FUD Bitcoin, all of that. Do you think he's doing that for any other reason except to manipulate the price, right? He wants to manipulate it. He's not very impactful at this point. Bitcoin's heading into its biggest bull market of all time. Who really cares what Jamie D at JP Morgan says? Literally no one, except maybe your aunt who has never done an ounce of research in her life and thinks that Bitcoin is a scam. Anyway, Dylan LeClaire posting this chart as well, that there is no alternative to Bitcoin. Here we have an Exhibit 5, U.S. debt to GDP on a path to uncharted territory with the U.S. federal debt held by the public percent in GDP. Our last hope truly is Bitcoin. Most people don't understand how dire the situation is and how bullish Bitcoin is. And finally, a massive chart by Mags the Scalping Pro on Twitter just highlighting that the Bitcoin bull market is still on track. Here we have what is most likely to be a solid 12 months of gainer after gainer after gainer. We are entering the year 2024. going exactly according to plan based on the 4-year cycle, based on the Bitcoin halving. And as we all know, the biggest catalyst that has ever been introduced to Bitcoin, Bitcoin spot ETFs, which have the ability to bring in billions upon billions of massive moolah into the market. Okay, it's just so astronomically big. There's no way to say this. Now, Bitcoin actually did react a little bit to this news. We're actually seeing altcoins. For example, Cardano's up like 6% today. We're seeing AVAX up about 3%. Some of these alts are actually not doing too bad. Bitcoin, however, did have a little baby bust. But more importantly, look at the stock market right here. The stock market is successfully actually breaking the top that we had set. We were potentially in jeopardy of setting a double top. And right here, you can see this was the top was formed back in late July of 2023. And as of the last few days, we've broken above that, which is a very bullish sign for the markets. People are getting very bullish. People understand we're heading into 2024. We're going to be getting rate cuts sometime in 2024. It's actually expected there will be between 4 to 5 rate cuts, which should ease up on some of the economic pressures that people have been dealing with for the past 2 years. Basically give the green light for risk on assets, for the stock market, for Bitcoin to go even more bullish, right? It's the perfect storm. Bitcoin has everything going for it as it goes into 2024. Literally the cherry on the cake, the icing on the tip of this bull market for Bitcoin is that it will be timed perfectly also with these rate cuts. And something I think absolutely is worth highlighting is a lot of people are afraid that once these rate cuts start coming, we'll see a crash in the markets, right? Well, Matthew Hyland actually points out that at this point, the yield curve inversion crash idea is more of a secret than the rate cut crash. Is there anyone, he says, who is participating that doesn't know at this point? The stock market will crash when rate cuts happen, right? He's saying that as a question, right? They should, right? Because that's what everyone keeps telling us. Well, what he said here is he's had numerous retail participants mention this crash will happen once we start getting these rate cuts, which could affect Bitcoin negatively, you would think, right? But the same retail that was pumping at the bottom expected the major crash. These are the same people that are telling you that. History does not even say, however, that this is true. But when everyone is expecting it, and the same people who were super bearish at the bottom are the ones that are pushing this idea that these rate cuts are going to crash the market, he's just posing the question, will it actually work out? Or is this actually complete turkey gobble baloney? So the stock market, if it's able to bust, and it's actually the only resistance it has, it's kind of like pretty clear to even reattempt the previous all-time high set back at the very end of 2021, which obviously would be bullish for Bitcoin. All history and data would tell us that it would be bullish for Bitcoin. So very big to look out for. Even though we have a bearish cross on Bitcoin and the price is, well, so far it's actually looking good sitting above the 21-day moving average after we had gotten this bearish cross just a few days ago on the MACD, and we're seeing the RSI as well. We see some divergence between the RSI and price. As I said yesterday, Bitcoin doesn't have to dump. It could even trade sideways to fulfill the duty of these momentum oscillators. Doesn't necessarily have to dump big. Give some alts time to run. I do still think Bitcoin could experience that pullback, but the only thing is, guys, we have to, as I've been saying for the past year, well, what I've been saying for the past year is we're in the transition from bear to bull. Now, I think it's fair to say that we're finally in that position to where it's not as gray anymore and we can just straight up say we're in a bull market. Some people are still going to debate that, but those are the same people that were telling you Bitcoin is going to 10K. And right now they're sucking on their thumbs and asking their mommies for more milk because they're just very dehydrated, okay? These bears are just extremely Yes, can somebody get these bears some juice? These bears are just begging for something to satiate them. And their brains are lacking the nutrients that they need to accurately predict this market. Okay. What a bunch of babies. So with that being said, again, Golden Cross still loading. I still think that Bitcoin could easily, I don't want to say necessarily a giant pullback, but at least muted trading or some sideways trading. So DXY also looking like absolute hot garbage. Look, I still, as I've been saying for the past year, I think this trend is going to continue down. For the past 3 months, it has been down, but I think that ultimately the dollar rate cuts historically for the DXY are not very bullish. So, keep that in mind. But we're really just set up here for a perfect storm, and I really mean that in every sense. This chart as well, anything above 39,000 in my opinion is giga bullish. So we could literally dump another $3,000 from here, and I would consider that literally nothing. I would consider that basically the same as sideways trading. Still very bullish for Bitcoin. So ultimately, man, looking at these charts, it is truly, you know, if I would have to paint a picture of what I think like the perfect setup for going into a bull market for Bitcoin is, guys, I'm not even gonna lie. Like, this is legit one of the best looking setups. Now, don't get too bullish, I guess, because you know we'll get dumps and all that. But come on, actually, I'm lying. Get more bullish, but it's not financial advice. You physically do not have the ability to be as bullish as you should be. You might think you're bullish. You might think you know where the price is going, but I want to tell you one thing. It's bigger, larger, more gigantic than even the most bullish thing, the most bullish thoughts. The most bullish you could be is not enough. We're only human. We're not bulls. You physically cannot be as bullish as this market is about to be. And take advantage of massive sign up and deposit bonuses if you're interested in trading or accumulating altcoins or accumulating Bitcoin via spot or anything with the links to Femex and BitGet below. It takes 30 seconds to sign up. And without any further ado, it's free.